Let's talk about stress, shall we? Stress is inevitable, and I don't care how positive of a person you are and how much of an abundance mindset you have, stuff happens, and it's not always good stuff. But how do you handle stress? This is something that I had to encounter up close and personal last week. And if you recall, Facebook decided to deplatform me last week. So if you missed that video, I'm going to link it up here. Feel free to check it out when we're done here. In a nutshell, they deleted my personal profile, and I really don't know why. So because I can't log into the platform, I can't access any of my business pages. I can't access any of my groups. I can't access the ads platform. For the first couple of days, I was very stressed out. I was anxious. I was worried. My mind immediately was going to all of the worst case scenarios. How is this going to affect my business? Am I going to lose all of my business? Am I going to not be able to reach my audience? And I did a lot of thinking and a lot of soul searching. And I feel so much better a week later because of these things that I've been implementing. And so I want to share them with you. So let's talk about what to do when the shit hits the fan and how you can respond to it. My first tip is that you need to allow the feeling and not just ignore it. I think a lot of our internal stress and tension comes from feeling upset and trying to pretend that we're not, trying to ignore it and push it away. For example, last summer, one of my pets died, and I was very sad, but I also felt stupid for feeling that way, and I felt kind of responsible because this pet was a chicken. And I know a lot of people probably thought, seriously, you're crying over a chicken, but our chickens are our pets. And I'm sure that if you lost a dog or a cat, you would grieve. And I felt the same way about Audrey Peckburn. So I was sad, but I felt stupid for feeling sad. And I also felt kind of responsible. She was bitten by a rattlesnake. So my mind went to all of these situations where it was my fault, that the rattlesnake got into the chicken pen, that I should have gone into the pen before I let the chickens out and looked to make sure there were no snakes in the pen before I opened the door. I should have had a better fence. I should have dug the fence down 18 inches instead of 12 inches. I should have made the holes in the fence smaller so that the snake couldn't get through, and on and on and on. So you're sad, but you're trying to pretend like you're not, and you're beating yourself up for feeling the way that you feel. And therefore, the feeling doesn't really go away, does it? It just kind of simmers below the surface. And I remember very distinctly, I had a coaching call where my coach said, what if you just sit with the feeling for 5 minutes and process it? Just allow yourself to feel like crap. Allow yourself to cry or feel awful. Just let it be there. What would happen? So I did that. And how I felt 5 minutes later was truly nothing short of miraculous. Yeah, I was still sad, but I felt like this huge weight had been lifted off my shoulders simply because I wasn't pretending like the negative emotion didn't exist. Now think about it. You can't have happy without sad. You can't have joy without grief. If we never felt anything bad, we would never know how good the good is because we would have nothing to compare it to. Allowing the negative emotion can really help you move through the process. The other thing that causes stress is not the circumstance. It's not the situation itself, but what we think about the situation. In my case, again, last week, the circumstance was Facebook deleted my profile. Now, I immediately thought, how dare they? Who do they think they are? They don't have the right to delete my platform. I didn't do anything wrong. I don't deserve this. My business is going to tank. I have no way to reach my audience. It's over. Now, the circumstance is totally neutral. It has no meaning except the meaning that we give to it. Now, you're probably disagreeing with me and you're thinking, no, Facebook deleted your profile. That was wrong. That was terrible. You have every right to feel mad about it. But think about the weather. Imagine it is pouring rain, thunderstorms, black clouds, total downpour. The circumstance has no meaning. It is raining. It is a fact. There's no emotion behind it. It's just, it is what it is. But for a bride, she might think that her wedding day has been totally ruined. This is a bad omen. This is a sign that her marriage is doomed, right? The bride could be completely distraught over the fact that it's raining. But a farmer might be filled with nothing but gratitude because they haven't had rain in a month and the crops are ready to die. And now this big storm is going to save his business because the crops have now been watered. He'll be able to sell those crops. He'll be able to provide for his family for another year. So same circumstance, but two different people might respond to it very, very differently. The thought about the circumstance determines how we feel. The circumstance doesn't determine how we feel. Is this making sense? What you think about the situation determines how you feel about the situation. And this is really good news because the thought that you think is totally optional. Let that sink in for a minute. Think about if you blame external situations for how you feel, you are giving your power away to something that is completely out of your control. You can't control the weather. You can't control if the social media platform deletes your account, but what you can control is how you react to it and what you think about it. There's a business in my town that I drive by almost every single day, and they had a sign out front for a while that said, "You can't control the waves, but you can learn how to surf." And the first time I saw that sign, I just found it so inspirational. I don't want to feel powerless, and I don't want to be a victim. I felt like crap when I felt that way, but it's so easy to get into victim mentality, isn't it? To think, poor me, my life sucks, it's so unfair, why does this keep happening to me? All of those thoughts that do not help me at all. And if you believe that the way that you're feeling is caused by the situation, then you will always be the victim. When you decide to take your power back and decide how you want to think about the situation, it's a whole different ballgame, my friends. You get to decide what you want to think about the situation. So instead of feeling sorry for myself and feeling like a victim, I decided to change how I thought about the situation. I decided to think that everything is happening for me, not to me. Everything is happening for my greater good. And I may not know exactly why it happened, and I don't really know what the reason is, but I believe that there's a reason why it happened and that good things are going to come out of it. And when you start to think more empowering thoughts, it makes you feel totally different, doesn't it? When I felt like a victim, I felt defeated. But when I changed how I thought about the situation, I started to feel encouraged and motivated and determined and excited about new possibilities. Think about the actions that you take when you feel defeated. If you feel like a victim and you feel defeated, you probably overeat. You probably overdrink. You watched a lot of Netflix. You feel sorry for yourself. You wear your pajamas all day long and you don't get to work. You neglect your business. You distract yourself with things that might temporarily take your mind off of it, but it doesn't fix the situation at all. And then in the end, you probably feel worse. Like if I drink a bottle of wine to make myself feel better, do I actually feel better? No, the next day I feel like crap because I drank a bottle of wine. What actions do you take when you're feeling determined and motivated and excited? In my case, I started evaluating other platforms where I can host a group, and I came up with some really, really exciting possibilities. I feel hopeful now that I'll be able to start my groups on a new platform that I control, and nobody can delete me, baby. I feel excited about the possibility that the group could be better than it was before. It looks prettier. It has more functionality. Everything is better. And I feel grateful that I'm spending so much less time on social media these days, being exposed to all of the negativity in the world. Like, I don't need to see one more post about the housing market crashing and interest rates soaring and the coming recession and house prices dropping like a rock. When I'm not on social media all day, I don't see those things. Yeah, I can go read an article if I want to be informed with facts and I want to know what's happening in my industry, but they're not being shoved down my throat with headlines that are designed to scare me to death just so that I will click on them to read the story. So I want to ask you, how are you dealing with stress? I want to hear from you in the comments. What is stressing you out right now and what are you doing to cope? And I hope that you will visit the link below and get on my mailing list so that we can continue to keep in touch no matter what the platforms do.